And I do want to point out that it was brought up about the animators and the idea of pushing them out. I talked to Alan. Well, he was messaging me late last night and early this morning, but got confirmation. You know, there's an animator who was legendary at Disney. We're talking about the guy who was the lead animator for basically every female character for like 3 decades. His name is Mark Henn, Henn. Chris probably knows a little bit about this guy. He's phenomenal. By the time they got to the point of making Wish, it had become such a toxic environment. And by the way, he retired after Wish. It had become such a toxic environment that this man who animated Ariel, Jasmine, Belle, you can keep going, had been there since the late 80s. He was no longer allowed, and there's quotes of him saying this, he was no longer allowed to tell them changes they needed to make in Wish. He was only allowed to give sort of suggestions, passive suggestions of what he might do if it were him. And I think that's the environment that we've arrived in, where you can't do mentorship because they've cast aside the mentors and said, it's our movement now. Well, they're not competent.
It's like mentorship is perceived as mansplaining when it's such an hypersensitivity. I mean, it really is a generational thing at this point.
Oh, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I actually, I'm going to reveal here first, Chris, I have a blockbuster, hopefully, piece of news I can add to your animation.
Let's see it.
Stuff. I can't do it yet. I have to get permission from an individual. A bunch of students have approached me at a animation school in Canada and have said things far worse than you guys have revealed.
Really? Well, so first of all, the thing is you're only seeing what we are revealing.
Right.
The stuff that I've seen, the specific examples and stories about people are horrible. It is such a toxic work environment.
Yes.
It's like Disney hates its own employees. And they actually take pleasure in some I've heard I've read detailed stories that have been sent to us about the HR department just treating people in such a horrific way. Like it's like they enjoy bullying. It's a bullying, horrible environment.
Well, after your thing, I was curious, what about the input stage? What's happening at the animation schools? So I actually approached some students I know at a premier animation school in Canada and asked them. And the one quote I'll say, they sent me a massive email. We are woke up the wazoo. Eggshells are the new linoleum.
Oh my God.
And only 17% of the people in the class out of 145 have testicles, they said. Now,
right. This is their 100th anniversary. They should be releasing 2 of the Disney classics completely restored every single month with huge fanfare.
Yes.
And they're not doing it. What is wrong with them? And then going back to, and that's the thing is these kids don't watch these movies. They don't get them. And this is why the kids went to see The Dark Knight in theaters. Because guess what? They don't have that DVD at home, Chris. They don't have DVDs and Blu-rays anymore. They are back at the whim like we were. Either you got to go to your streaming service and find which fucking streaming service it is on anymore, or you're like we were at the whim back in the day and just hope you catch it at some point on television, right? That's where we're at right now. These kids have no sense of the history of film because they haven't watched it for the last 20, 30 years. They don't care anymore.
You know why they won't put these back in theaters is because the theater owners don't want you to put a disclaimer in front of your own movie that tells people that it's a horrible product you should never watch.
Well, this
trigger warning. Oh God, I hate
this.
Those.
This all comes back to Disney hating Disney. The 100th anniversary, they didn't have a single bio movie, anything. There was nothing celebrating Walt. Like this is so unbelievably impossible to have imagined that a corporate entity would not, dig into their own underwear and pull up old shit just for the sake of money is like nonsense. That's how infested Disney is that they can't even bear themselves. They can't come to just celebrating Walt Disney's legacy in some ways. I don't get it. It was the dumbest year ever.
That's an understatement. You can't celebrate the white man who created this company and
Correct.
built an industry and built this multi-billion-dollar company in theme parks and everything. You can't celebrate it. It's such a profound lack of leadership.
Yes.
It
is leadership.
It's mind-boggling to see the stupidity at which the Disney brand has been driven into the ground, and they did it. They played themselves as
I am seeing more and more, and I won't repeat the stories. Companies are being run by the flying monkeys that work there, and management is scared to death of them.